A fool. The Bible says in Proverbs 12 and 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to the advice of others. A fool would take his own advice, having not known anything, any history, no experience, but would take his own advice. That's what a fool does. And we all have been a fool at one time or another. We all made mistakes and had to bounce back and learn over again one time or another. But a fool, the Bible said a fool, Proverbs 12 and 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to the advice of others. Oftentimes we as people, we love to do our own thing. You can't tell me what to do. I already know. And we love to block out the truth. And blocking out the truth makes us a fool, because a fool don't want to hear the truth. A fool want to do their own thing. And that's why you see people oftentimes of great age or been in the same situation for a long time, but still doing the same thing. And that make them a fool, because only a fool would do the same thing over and over, looking for a different result. Doing the same thing year after year after year, month after month, day after day, minute after minute, but yet to come expecting a different result. That is the mind of a fool. Proverbs 12 and 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice of others. A fool think they got the answer. They have the problem and the answer. I've talked to a lot of people. I counsel a lot of people, and I'm telling you, most people will come to you with their problems. And then when you get talking to them and trying to explain to them their situation and give them solution on how to come out of it, they already have the answer. And the first thing I tell them, you can't have the problem and the answer. Now, you either got one or the other. You either got the problem or you got the answer. But you can't have both. And then they'll look at me kind of strange, and sometimes they'll smile, start laughing. But it's the truth. But what a fool does, a fool do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, as if things going to change. No. But a wise man, he listen and take advice from other people. He see you doing something, and he see you successful, he'll follow your lead. That's a wise man. My brother David told me a long time ago, say, if you're doing something and you're not succeeding, look at the man that is succeeding. Go talk to him if you can. Find out what he's doing and how he's succeeding. And then you stop thinking the way you think. And then you start thinking the way he thinks, and you'll start succeeding. In other words, stop doing things the way you want to do it because you want to do it. And most people is in the situation they in today because they want to do things their way. They want what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. And it put them in a predicament, a position of being a fool. Because ain't nothing going to change just because you want something a certain way, just because you like something a certain way. Ain't nothing going to change. Only time things changes is when you follow wisdom and experience. When old people sit you down, grandmama, mama and daddy, uncles, people that have been through life, and they sit you down and they begin to give you words of wisdom and knowledge on life, on marriage, financial, mental health, physical health. When they begin to give you advice on these type of things, don't think you already have the answer, because they've been on the planet longer than you have. They've been around longer than you have. And what you doing ain't nothing new, because the Bible said there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. But a fool will take his own advice thinking that he know or she know what they're doing. But all you got to do is sit down and just talk to somebody that done been through it. You got people that done been through all type of broken relationship. They can give you some advice because they've been down that road. You got people that done been through divorce. They can give you some advice. They've been down the road. You got people that have been in bad situations and they forgave and made up. They can give you some advice. But you ain't never been through anything. You can't tell nobody anything. That's why as a preacher, when I teach from experience. I don't teach from no stuff that somebody said. I'm talking from experience because I can teach on different levels of different things because I done been through so much. And it was painful going through it, but it gave me knowledge and wisdom for now. And that's why it's easy for me to get up here and talk and explain things to people because of my experience and the pain I've been through in life. But it comes when it getting back to the fool. When it comes to being a fool, and I was a fool in my younger days. I was a fool. I was a clown. As my granddaddy Will would say, I was a clown bound for higher ground. But I was a fool in my younger days because I wouldn't listen. I thought I had all the answers. I wouldn't listen to my mama. I wouldn't follow my daddy's advice. I wouldn't listen to nobody. But what that caused me to do was to make bad decisions that affected my life later. I'm doing good now, but I went through a lot of headache. I went through a lot of pain because I didn't listen. Haven't you seen some people, they of great age, some people 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, and they still doing the same thing they were doing years ago. And you've been knowing these people for a long time in your life, and when you see them, they still doing the same thing, saying the same thing. They refuse to come out in that pattern of thinking. They have the mind of a fool. You know what I'm saying? And they stuck and can't get up because they have the mind of a fool. But what make a person become a fool? When you reject wisdom. Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to the advice of others. And that's why you see people of great age, 40, 50, 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, still doing the same thing. Still smoking, drinking, getting high, and don't have insurance policy, don't have a decent place to stay, ain't never got no money, always needing somebody to do for them. And they of age, and these people are of age. I'm not putting nobody down. I'm just telling you how the mind of a fool works. They think they know, but they don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't be in the predicament that they're in now. And that's why they're in the predicament that they're in, because they have the mind of a fool. Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice of others. I sat down for years and people try to tell me and warn me about things, and I would not listen. And when you don't listen, you take the hard road when you don't listen. But all you got to do is listen and just use common sense. If that person is successful and they got a successful marriage, they got a successful life, a successful career, they are financially stable, then maybe I need to try what they doing. Maybe I need to talk to them and ask them, what do you do? How do you know you got this, you got that, and you seem to be stable? What do you do? Because you know what you doing don't work. It ain't adding up. You still stuck in a dilemma because you refuse to listen to wisdom. Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to the advice of others. We have got to stop following our feelings, our emotion, and use wisdom, because the Bible said the heart is the most deep, deceitful thing above all things. The heart is deceitful. It will deceive you. Your feeling will deceive you. Will have you make bad decisions. But wisdom that you learn from other people, wisdom that comes from God, will spare you a lot of pain and trouble. A lot of pain and trouble. You got people now still stuck and can't get up. You know, I was out there on them drugs. I was out on the alcohol. I was on crack. I was in and out of jail. I wouldn't listen to nobody. But when I stopped being foolish and started taking the advice of people that were successful, people that were doing good, people that had it going on, my life began to change. But as long as I kept that foolish mindset, I stayed stuck. And you can't have the problem and the solution. You're either going to have one or the other. You can't have both. Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to the advice of others. I'm Elder Travis Newton. Until next time, God bless you, and don't be no fool. Remember, it's the Lord that make it rich, and I had no sorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.